Welcome back, everybody, to the You Ask We podcast, the show where you ask the questions, they answer them, and I'm just the guy in the middle. Once again, we got an amazing episode for you guys. We got a guest who's been born and raised in Los Angeles, and he did his time as a soldier in the IDF, but now he's a third year in USC Law School as an aspiring trial attorney. I want everyone to give a warm welcome to my boy, my brother-in-law, Ben Miles. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thank God. Can't complain. So, you probably know how the show works by now. I'm guessing you at home do too. Pretty much every week, I go on social media. I ask you guys what you would want to ask in this scenario. And I got all of y'all's questions here, and I'm going to ask them today. But the first question is always me, and that's, what's new? What's going on, man?
Not much, Same shit, different day.
Same shit, different day.
Very busy this week. I have a lot going on with school. I'm actually taking 8 classes this semester. That's a first for me.
8?
8, yeah.
Semester?
Yeah.
It's like, what are these classes, bro?
I mean, 2 of them, to be fair, only meet for 8 weeks. So, like mid-October, I'd be done with them. But it's 17 units, and I think the idea behind that is if I just suck it up for 8 weeks and, get this over with this semester, then in my last semester in the spring, I think I would only need like 12 or 13 units to graduate. So there'd be a lot more time for work or spending time with family, or studying for the bar.
Studying for the bar. The bar's coming up too.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm going to pass it the first try. I think so for sure.
God willing. Amen.
Yeah, but that's not for a while. So I'm trying not to think about it too much.
Yeah, no, it's like real talk. Like this past summer, I was working in the library at my school, like kind of doing like shifts here and there. And over the summer, it would be filled with like 3Ls, like studying for the bar. The looks on their faces are like horrified. Like they all have bags in their eyes. Like I recognize some of them from school. I asked them like, "Oh, how's it going?" They're just looking at me like they don't want to do it. It's tough.
It's brutal. I mean, you finish school in May, and I think you have a good, I want to say 8 weeks, 9 weeks of studying before you take the bar, because the bar is usually like the last week of July, I think. Mm-hmm. So you got to be studying for like 10 hours a day, in my opinion, and like putting your phone away for real though. Like,
yeah, end of the day, just got to bust ass.
Yeah,
like,
not like
if you bust ass, you'll make it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's new with you?
What's new with me?
Yeah.
Shoot, this show. I mean, this show, like, also I'm like, I started school too. I'm in my second year. Nothing close to finishing, getting to your third year of law school, obviously. But it's like, I'm in my second year now. It's still like a little light, like the professors are not going like too ham yet. But it's like, I got the feeling it's going to ramp up soon. You know what I mean?
I think the hardest year is behind you though, in all fairness.
Yeah. I heard a mixture because like people would say, like I heard some people say like, oh, like 1L is the toughest year, and I heard some people say it's the same difficulty throughout. Like I feel like it depends, like if you want to bust ass or if you want to coast by.
Yeah, we're coasting.
Yeah, like coasting by in 2L is much easier, but like if you're like fighting for scholarships and stuff like that, like it's equally as difficult throughout.
That's true.
It's always gonna be. So yeah, we got some questions here from the people, and these first few questions are actually going to be about your time in the Army. So this question's from Mikey from Brooklyn. What's the craziest thing you saw or experienced in the Army that you could talk about?
Without getting, I guess, giving up too much details or controversy on the podcast, I will say there was this one time that a couple of us entered like a town called Rajar. Rajar is like a small town on the northern border of Israel. So the way it works is that the southern half of the town is Israeli territory, and the northern half is Lebanon, but there's no like real border as far as I know in between, unless that changed recently. But all the people in the town identify as Syrian. So it's like this weird mix, and
it's wild. Yeah,
there have been some skirmishes in the past with the IDF over there, but now it's relatively quiet. So one time we went in there and went into like this abandoned building, went up to the 3rd floor like in the middle of the night and just like staked out a position to like look at Lebanese troop movements with like night vision cameras.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we spent like the whole night there, but we only saw like a couple people. It was nothing crazy. We took, different shifts. One of us would watch through the camera. I think the other two would two would be awake. One would be sleeping, and would just look through these infrared goggles, looking to see like I said, just true movements. And it was weird because you're walking there in the middle of the night and you're making noise and you're armed and all that, and the people of the town are coming out of their houses and they're looking at you, and
That's insane.
it's a weird thing to look. But also there's this store owner there. I don't remember if he was on the Lebanese side of the town or the Israeli side. His name was Musa. He had like all these snacks and Cokes and stuff. So we'd give him I still have his number.
Oh yeah, you told me about Musa.
Yeah, we'd give him a call and be like, "Yo, Musa, we're hungry. Get us some beastly, some bamba, some drinks over here to the base." And he would come. He was our plug, for food, because they would bring us crates of food from the nearest base. Was like 20 minutes away, and it was like cracked, hard-boiled eggs and cold pasta and just like crap I didn't want to eat. So I'd call Musa and just eat a bunch of junk food.
He would be the snack plug.
Yeah, the snack plug. Yeah, he'd
crazy.
make deliveries to the checkpoint where we were sleeping.
That's wild. And it's like, did anything result out of that? Like when you guys were like staking out that position, or
no. So like I said, it was nothing crazy. I'm not gonna get into any crazy stuff. But what I will say is that that experience really got me into physical shape. 40 pounds ago. 40 pounds. Yeah, I was a different person back then. When I finished advanced training, we did a 55-kilometer march, which is like, I want to say 35 miles. So that's like with all your gear and all that heavy stuff on your back. So that's like the equivalent of walking from where we live in West LA to Disneyland. Imagine walking to Disneyland, but not just like on the highway, on a straight path, but with hills and mud and all that crap, with a lot of gear on, and then pulling out stretchers at the end. And somebody goes on the stretcher and you got to carry them like the last 10 kilometers. It was really hard, but I was in tip top shape back then.
Yeah, but you did that too. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it was like, I think 15 hours of nonstop moving.
Bro, you couldn't pay me to do that. You couldn't even pay me to do that. No, I can't. Can't. It's like I'm in shape for like 5 minutes of activity. Like I get winded.
If this matzo ball can do it, you can do it.
But you weren't a matzo ball then. That's the whole point. Like maybe prime Eden, like playing high school ball, could do it.
Yeah, I was in my prime back then.
Yeah, but it's like now, man, I'm out of it. I gotta get back into it. Like I gotta box more and all that stuff. I gotta like be more in shape. That's all it is.
I just take Tucker on long walks. That's about it for me.
Tucker's his golden doodle, by the way.
Yeah,
he's a very, very cute boy.
Tucker's
very sweet boy.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's a grown man. He's not a boy.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy. When he hears this, he'll get it. He'll get excited about it. So yeah, this next question is actually from Ari from LA. He wants to know, how did your military experience impact your life today? And did it change your perspective at all towards career goals?
It didn't change my perspective toward career goals, but it did instill in me a sense of responsibility and discipline, which definitely translates well into the field of law. It also taught me how to communicate clearly and follow procedures to a T, which is super helpful in a law career. Everything is rule based. And the way I think about it is, in high stress situations, whether it's in school or at work, if I'm nervous about an assignment or a task, I think, well, if I was able to do what I did in the Army under high stress situations physically, then what I'm doing now is a cakewalk. I'm sitting in an office chair. I'm not out walking in weird conditions, carrying a lot of gear. So I do have the discipline, to be like, Ben, and the self-confidence, to get things done. It's also made me a more, I guess, confident person in terms of public speaking, because you have to be a leader in that environment, and you can't be shy when you're in the Army in a combat unit. You got to take initiative, and all those skills translate into, law school or a career in law, especially if you want to litigate or be a trial lawyer like myself. You have to be confident and know how to speak publicly and follow procedures. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, and it's like I brought this up on the show before actually too. Like public speaking for law school and law in general is actually so important. It
Yeah.
might be the most important thing because especially like during school, it's like you're going to get cold called by professors, and you'll be in a class with like 80 different people who you have no idea who they are, and the professor's gonna put you on the spot to like answer questions about a case or a reading or whatever, and it's like you can't be shy at that point. You just got to answer the questions. And if you don't, like, people are going to, like, professors going to look at you like, do you want to be here? It's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they go hard into people sometimes. Like, it's wild. Did you always know you wanted to go into law?
Not really. I guess in high school, I was just kind of messing around, playing video games all day in class, and I wasn't really sure. But then, I guess when I came back from Israel, it was pretty clear to me that it would be a good fit. You know, given my skills and actually like my weaknesses. You know, like science and math.
Yeah.
You know, I figured engineering and medical school definitely isn't an option. And even if it was, I have no interest in becoming a doctor. So I figured then law school then was the obvious path. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was pretty much the same way. It's like I'm I'm like a little bit of a math guy because my dad is a math whiz. Shout out to him. Like he's a math whiz, so I'm like a little bit of a math guy. But in regards to like science and the rest of that stuff, I can't stand like at all. So it's like,
Yeah, it's not for me.
and it's like I've knew since I was in like ninth grade. It's like, oh, I love arguing with my parents. So it's like law school's a great fit, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what, and then like over time, I realized like, oh, I could go to law school to become a sports agent. That would be like awesome. So now I know that's like the full dream. Like I realized
Yeah.
that 100% like during undergrad, but I knew since like early on, like, yeah, law school's the way to go.
Yeah. And when you do become a sports agent, please take me under your wing. I'll quit my job and I'll work for you. Let's make it happen.
We'll do. So yeah, speaking of law, you know, a lot of people obviously ask a lot of questions about law school because there's a lot of people who are considering it or going through it, and like they're looking for advice or things to talk about. So this one's from Kyle from Dallas, and he wants to know which programs are the best to study for LSATs.
There's a few. I used Blueprint. I think there's one called Kaplan and a couple others. But Blueprint is a course. It used to be in person. I think now it's only on Zoom, where you have an instructor who got a crazy high LSAT score. I think it's an 8-week course. You have like class twice a week for a few hours each time, and they teach you everything you need to know. I took Blueprint with a professor or an instructor called Spencer, and I highly recommend him. He got a 179 on the LSAT, and I think he's been teaching with Blueprint for like 10 years now, maybe more. He was great. You know, he was always available after hours if I had questions, but honestly, I didn't even need him after hours because he was so clear when he was teaching. He just made you understand it. And I definitely recommend that for anyone taking the LSAT. I do not recommend just self-studying. I think an organized course will help you achieve like the best results.
Yeah, no, I actually took Blueprint too, and it's like it's a really good course. Like I only took Blueprint because of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I took Blueprint too, and it's a very, very good course. And yeah, obviously it's much better than self-studying because with Blueprint they teach you like the tips and tricks and like how to answer questions. Like with all this prep, they teach you like all the tricks on like how to answer questions quicker.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. They teach you different tactics and stuff like that you wouldn't know if you self-study. But it's also like when that course is like said and done, self-studying is probably the most important thing.
You have to.
Like repetition
Yeah.
is so important for
Even
the
before
LSAT.
the course is done. You know, after class,
Yeah,
you
just-
got to like do some homework and then put in a couple hours of self-studying because the class is only, I think, 3 hours or 4 hours twice a week. And I think you need to be studying for the LSAT 8 hours a day. So when you're not in class, you better be self-studying. But that class teaches you the fundamentals and gives you a really strong foundation that I don't think you can otherwise pick up on your own. For the most part, I mean, I'm sure some people can, but
Yeah, honestly, I tell this to people. I don't know if you agree with this, but I tell people that if the LSAT was a completely untimed test and you had infinite time to take it, anyone with a common sense would get 180.
That's a bold statement.
because the whole thing, it's like it's all logic, right? Like it's all
but
logical
it's tricky.
questions.
It's
It's tricky, but
you
it's
know?
like if it's untimed and you have all the time in the world to answer these questions, like anyone with a common sense eventually will get to the right answer. Like if they have all the time in the world. But the thing is, the reason why it separates the kids who go to law school and the kids who don't is because it's a way of thinking and you got to do it quick. And it's all about stamina. That's the whole thing. Like if you don't have stamina, like you're not going to go far in this test at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can build that up, right? You know, in
like
the beginning,
through practice.
Yeah, in the beginning, I would take untimed practice tests, and I had all the time in the world, and I still didn't do that great. But then you do timed practice tests as you get better, as you feel more confident. You build it up. It's like a workout, right? Stamina. In the beginning, you do a little bit, and then you gradually build it up.
Yeah, pretty much. So this question is actually from Joseph from Boston. He's curious, was USC always the dream school?
No. The dream school was Harvard Law. I got a 168 on the LSAT and on my first try, and I think the median at Harvard Law is a 172. So I was 4 points off, which is, it might not sound like a lot, but with 4 points in the LSAT, it is a lot. So I knew I wasn't going to get in, but it was the dream, and I definitely took the application seriously in writing that cover letter and all that. You know, I was hoping that my cover letter would be persuasive enough to maybe get me waitlisted, but it didn't. You know, that was the dream. And then I thought about NYU for a little bit because I actually had a good chance at NYU. But the thing with USC is that I think I got accepted to USC only 8 weeks after I applied. You normally don't hear back from law schools for about, depends where, on average, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe more. Mm-hmm. So USC accepted me quickly. And within a month, they gave me a really nice scholarship that was guaranteed no matter what my grades are. So at that point, I didn't care about NYU or any other school. I actually even got waitlisted to the University of Chicago Law School, which is, I think now it's ranked higher than Harvard. And the thing is, if you get waitlisted, if you really try enough and you show the school that you want to be there, there's a good chance you get taken off the wait list and they actually accept you. But like I said, once I got that admission letter from USC and scholarship, everything else just went out the window. Mm-hmm. And that was an offer I could not resist.
Yeah, no, I was the same way with Southwestern too, because it definitely was not the dream school. I didn't really, I'm not going to lie, when I was applying to schools, like I only found out Southwestern existed when I started applying to law schools.
Let me cut you off and tell the audience that Southwestern, the people that come out of that school are freaking killers. You know,
that's true. And
sharks.
I got to learn that, thank God. Like, literally, Camille Vasquez came out of my school. If you don't know who that is, watch the Depp v. Heard documentary on Netflix. You'll know exactly who that person is. She's a killer in court. She's awesome. But
I know a lot of others, too, like work at big law firms or just all over, and I see so many Southwestern grads just killing it out there.
Yeah, because it's
I'm like, damn, I don't know what goes on at this law school, but
it's like we all have like a chip on our shoulder, you know? Because it's like, I feel like a lot of people going into Southwestern, like when we're applying to schools, like Southwestern in the overall national rankings of law schools, when you look at the list, it's not like you know, top 10, top 20. It's like pretty,
or top 100.
Yeah, it's pretty. it's pretty low in the national rankings.
But that shit does not matter.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Yeah. And it's like when I got my scores, like honestly, the dream was Cardozo because like initially I wanted to stay in New York.
Yeah,
like I love New York. I love all my friends there. Initially, I wanted to stay there. But like, you know, obviously it wasn't a very viable option. Like with all my grades and GPAs and LSAT scores and stuff like that, like it was a pretty hard school to get into. So I applied to a bunch of schools, including Southwestern, and Southwestern accepted me with a really good scholarship, and I was happy to take it. And when I got in, I've never been so happy with my decision. Like, I love that school.
That's
it's
awesome.
Like, it's like, I feel like it becomes your dream school when you're in it.
Yeah.
You know?
They're also really known for entertainment law, I think.
Yeah.
They have a good program.
So it's like, it's also good for me. But it's like, I feel like with USC also, it's like maybe it wasn't like the dream school, like applying, but like once you like got in, you realize that it was.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was a little delusional at first, you know, thinking that I'm going to go to Harvard or NYU. And then USC is like, shut up, dude. You know, you're not going. Yeah, just come here. You're not going anywhere. But let me add this. It all depends on what you want to do after law school. If you're out there and you're like, oh, I want to work at those big mega firms that pay top dollar, then it really does help going to like a top 20 school, because those big firms tend to only hire from like top 20 schools. It's not unheard of that you can get a big law job by not going to a T20 school, but it's much easier. But then again, if you're at Southwestern and you're at the top of your class, you can still do it, or you can work at a mid-sized firm for a couple of years and then lateral to a big firm. So it's not the end of the world. I don't think rankings are a big deal. It's really all up to the individual. If you're hungry, if you're motivated, if you're a shark, you're going to get it,
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it's not where you are, it's who you are.
100%.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So this is actually a question from Rick from Houston. How do you make an income during law school? Do you make an income during it's like,
well, I'm looking for a job right now to work at while I'm in school. But here's the way it normally goes. 1L, don't work.
Yeah, you're not going to work during 1L.
You should not be working in your first year of law school.
It's like unless you do like an evening program or something like that.
Right. But most people don't. Most people don't.
If you're doing like the traditional day thing, you're not working during 1L.
Yeah, you should. It's so hard. Whether you're at Harvard or God knows where, it's so hard. Everything's new. It's like learning a new language. There's no time. There's no time to work during law school, your first year. But then after your first year's over, every law student is expected to work in the summer. Add things to the resume that way. In your summer you should be working, and then your second year in law school, you can start choosing your schedule. So maybe if you can be in school twice a week, you can work the other days. If that's not getting in the way of your studies, then by all means go ahead and do it. I had a baby at the end of my 1L year, so I didn't work in my 2L year. And then this past summer I worked at a mid-sized firm, and then now in my third year of law school, now I'm ready to juggle school, work, and family. That is how you make an income. Just don't work in your first year of law school.
Literally 1L, don't even touch work. Literally, it was a school policy in Southwestern. It's like they'll tell you like in the school policy, like they'll make it against the rules to work during 1L. I wouldn't stretch it that far, but definitely don't do it.
Let me add this about income during law school. Here's something I did a little bit, especially in more than a little bit, in my 2L year. So in the stock market, there's this thing called selling covered calls. And I think the audience, people who are like finance and stocks, are going to think this is great. Let's say you have 100 shares of a stock. You need to have 100 shares to do this. Otherwise, it won't work. Then there's this thing called options. So you can trade options, you can trade stocks. But you need 100 shares of a stock in order to do what I'm about to explain. It's called selling covered calls. So you give up 100 shares that you own as a collateral. You choose a strike price. So let's say Tesla's trading at $200 today. I think it's trading at...
Wait, also before we continue, we are not qualified financial experts. This is not qualified financial advice.
100%.
Quick disclaimer. That's it. All right.
Honestly, props. Yeah, I should have said that in the beginning. So let's say Tesla's trading at $200 right now, and you have 100 shares. So what you would do is you would pick an expiration date. Every option has an expiration date. So let's say my expiration date that I choose, completely up to you, is October 1st. Okay, that's step one. Choose a date. Step two, choose a strike price. So let's say the strike price I choose is 220. So what I'm doing is I'm giving my 100 shares of Tesla as collateral, and the bet I'm making is that by October 1st, Tesla will not close at the end of the trading day at $220 or higher. And whatever that option is worth, say that option is worth $600, $800, $1,000, or $400, that money gets instantly deposited to your account, and you give your 100 shares as collateral. So then on October 1st, if Tesla closed below my strike price at $217, then I keep the money that was originally given to me, whatever the option was worth, say the $700. I get to keep that, and my shares are released back to me, so I get my shares back. Okay, but if Tesla does close at 220 or higher, then you lose the shares, but you still keep the money. But the thing is, if your average price, if your buy-in price is low, say I bought Tesla at 170, and I'm forced to sell it at 220, then I've just made a huge profit just by buying at 170 and selling at 220, and I'm keeping whatever the option is worth. So you can do it both when the market's going up and when the market is going down. It's not for beginners, but it's super easy to learn. It's not, you don't have to be like smart to know how to do this. So that is one way I made an income during my 2L. It was small, but it helped out. And honestly, for the audience members that don't know, I'm married. I have an amazing wife, which is Eden's sister.
Shout out, Ashley.
And yeah, she's the true hero in this story, honestly, for working and supporting the family while I'm in school with Maya. So I should have probably said that in the beginning. But yeah, she's the true hero in all this.
Yeah, no, she's great. But it's like, yeah, how do you make an income? Well, during 1L you don't, and then during 2L
you can.
You can. You got to shape it around your schedule pretty much. Like right now, like for my second year, like I literally I set my schedule to have school Mondays, Wednesdays, and like one class on Thursdays. So I have like Tuesdays and Fridays completely free to like work and do whatever, and half of like Thursday to also work and do whatever. So it's like when you have more control of your schedule and when you understand how law school works overall, you can make an income on the side. It's a very doable thing. Until then, though, focus in school. That's the best investment you're going to make. Like, really, I think.
And make good grades in your first year of law school.
Yeah.
Because your first year grades are very important. Mm-hmm. If I could go back in time, I would take my first year more seriously and try to boost those grades. Yeah, those grades are the most important for sure.
Yeah, and it opens you up to scholarships too, like with those grades. So it's like, yeah, that's a big thing. So, speaking of, your wonderful wife and daughter, this question is actually from Amanda from New Jersey. So being that you're a dad and a husband, how do you see yourself balancing school, work, and a kid? I feel like we kind of answered that, but how do you see, how do you like balance your life?
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to juggle. For me, family's a priority. So spending time with Ashley and Maya whenever I can is of utmost importance. I think while I'm in law school, once you have like your first semester or first year under your belt, you can kind of know what you can prioritize in terms of, can I get away without reading this before class, or do I need to read this before class? And you can kind of figure out what you need to do and what you don't need to do, so that you can create more time to spend with family or work. But yeah, it's something I have to juggle right now, especially now. Like I said, in my third year, I'm in school, I'm working, and I'm trying to spend as much time as I can with Maya. But in general, I mean, it depends on your situation. But personally, like I said, I'm a family man, so I guess after this summer, though, when I'm studying for the bar, I'm not going to be around. I'm going to go underground for 2 weeks, and just nobody will hear from me while I'm studying. But then after I pass the bar and start working, you always got to make time for your family. It's more important than anything else. So if you're married right now and you have kids and you're in law school, keep that in mind. Otherwise, you have nothing to worry about right now. Talk to me at a later date.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. So this is actually a much more interesting question, honestly. I mean, no offense. No offense. But I thought this was a really, really interesting question. This came from Charlotte from California, and she wants to know, what's something that happened in a lecture that you still remember, like, to this day?
Okay, that is a good question. Honestly, in my experience, it hasn't been anything crazy. It's just been, boring ass lecture. But in the second semester of my 1L year, we were on Zoom. I think the first 2 weeks of spring because of the COVID outbreak, and people were coming back home from winter break, so they wanted us to stay home for a bit. So I plugged in my dusty old PlayStation that I haven't touched in a long time, and I started playing Call of Duty again. When school was starting, and I had this constitutional law professor who loved cold calling, like 20 students a day. He would just speed through the whole class. So I had my laptop open on Zoom, my microphone was off, camera was off, my Conlon lecture's in the background, and I'm just racking kills on Call of Duty. And all of a sudden I hear, "Is Ben Miles there? Is Ben Miles there?" I'm like, shit, what do I do? And I thought about it for 2 seconds, and I'm just like, screw this. I'm going to keep playing. So he moved on to somebody else. I think that happened like twice. And my friends were texting me, yo, he's calling your name. I'm like, yeah, I hear.
Yeah, I know. I don't care.
I don't care. But, and then once we got back into in-person, I put that PlayStation away. There was no time for that. But that was a fun 2 weeks. Other than that, I don't think there was anything crazy in my time, but I heard some interesting stories. There was a professor who was teaching civil procedure. And for those that don't know, that's like how to file a lawsuit, how many days you have to reply, process of serving somebody with a lawsuit, all that stuff. And I heard a story that I think it was 2 years before me. I had him for Civ Pro. In the middle of a lecture in one of those massive halls, somebody walked in the class, went all the way down the steps, and served him with divorce papers while he was lecturing and teaching Civ Pro.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic.
Imagine you turn that around to just be like, so it's like, yeah, this is how you serve someone.
Yeah. I don't know what topic.
Tag jurisdiction.
I don't know what topic they were discussing that day, but that was a pretty crazy story. Also, there is this professor who's known to be really harsh on cold calls. I guess he cold called a 1L in his first month of school, and the kid just didn't know, and like the answer to anything, like, wasn't prepared at all. And the professor just went at him. He's like, why are you here? You're wasting our time, your time. Like, are you really cut out for this? And then ever since then, the kid like moved to the back of the class and didn't say a word. The rest of the semester, like his classmates were like, yo, are you okay? Are you okay? I mean, again, I didn't witness this, but fortunately nothing like that happened to me or anybody in my classes. Jeez. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I feel like crazy things don't really happen during lectures too much in my school. It's more like kind of funny moments, like from what professors like say.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, I had this property law professor, right? And he had this heavy New York accent, right? And I forgot exactly what subject he was talking about, and he was like over Zoom, and he was just like, and this ain't unfair, unfair to who? Like, just like that. And everyone like wakes up from like their nap and is just like, what is this guy on? Like, what is he talking about? No, but like, shout out to him. He was a really funny professor. He would bring up the Battle of Normandy all the time. Like, he would say like, oh, like, this isn't difficult. This isn't the Battle of Normandy. And sometimes it felt like it was. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
It was a tough class, property law.
Yeah, property was hard. I got like a B in that class.
Yeah. No, same. By some miracle, I got a B. I don't know how, but wow, that was nuts. Anyway, yeah, this question's from Talia from Chicago, and she's asking, what's a piece of wisdom? I feel like we gave a lot of wisdom to like the incoming 1Ls, but like, what's a piece of wisdom you would give to a 1L coming in right now?
I would say it's okay to not have all the right answers in the beginning and to feel like you don't know what you're doing and to be nervous and to be like thinking about whether or not you're cut out to go through law school, because everybody in the beginning feels that way. You may think, oh, like my classmates are super smart. I mean, they are. Like, you feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone seems to be chilling. But everyone's very stressed in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Everyone's working hard. No one is sure what the right answer is. So don't be scared. Don't let that get in your head. I mean, once you get the hang of it, things get better. Things get easier. And another thing I will say is, please don't create your own outlines. You need to have an outline for every class. And I think you need to get one from a friend or from, at least at USC, we have like this portal where people post their old outlines, so you can get that for like any class you need, or you can ask friends who took the class. Walk into class with an outline that you already have that somebody else wrote, but take notes in that outline. So like if you're studying for the final, and you're reading your outline over for the exam, and if you're reading somebody else's work, it's not going to make sense to you because they wrote it in a way that makes sense to them with abbreviations that you don't know what that means. So take that that outline in the beginning of the semester, take notes in it, edit that outline, and make it your own, so that throughout the semester And when it comes time to studying for finals, it all makes sense to you, and you already have an organized outline of all the concepts, all the terms you need to know that somebody else wrote, and you're just adding to. Because doing it from scratch is so time consuming. And honestly, when I get caught up with typing what the professor is saying, I lose focus and I forget like what we were even talking about because I'm so caught up in getting it on paper and making sure there are no typos. Then I just lose a sense of what we're doing. So use somebody else's outline and skim through it while professor's speaking and add your notes in there. If I knew that first day of law school, I think I could have done better in my first semester.
Word. And also, I feel like something that helped me a lot during 1L personally is look for your people. Like, find, like, your, like, group, like, as, I don't want to say as quickly as possible because I wouldn't want anyone to, like, settle for someone that, like, maybe wouldn't be productive to them. But find a good group of people to, like, kind of study with, discuss, like, questions with and stuff like that. Because, like, when I was in 1L, like for the fall semester, I studied with this awesome group of people, and it's like you get different perspectives on how to study. You get different perspectives on different things. Like they teach you some stuff, you teach them some stuff, and end of the day, that whole group succeeds because of it. So I feel like my best piece of advice is find your people, and yeah, and I'm still friends with those people like to this day. So it's like it's awesome. It's definitely something you should do. So yeah, these next few questions are a bunch of random opinions, pretty much, that people want to ask you. So this is a question from Jake from Edmonton, Canada. How would you, as a law student and future lawyer, address the sweep of AI in our field?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, there's the Chat GPT that everyone knows and loves. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with it.
I hate it so much.
Okay.
With a passion.
Yeah, it can be useless at times. I think it could be useful to streamline repetitive tasks like summarizing things, or it can polish your writing. But I don't think it's there just yet. It's like in the beginner phase. And let me just say this. AI cannot and will not ever, I don't care what people say, replace a lawyer in a courtroom. Not in litigation, that's for sure. You need somebody advocating on your behalf in the courtroom, thinking on the fly, making all the best arguments you can make, replying appropriately. Maybe in transactional law, AI could be used a ton for like summarizing documents or I don't know what. But I think it's too soon right now to be incorporating AI to take on heavy. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but one thing's for sure is you need to adapt because the AI is going to get much better over time to a point where it might even be malpractice if you don't use it in your law firm, because then you're billing clients hours, for something that AI can do in 30 minutes. Right. So, I mean, definitely not now. We're not there yet, but maybe in the future, I feel like AI will be so advanced that you have to, keep up with the new technology and incorporate it. For sure. It's useful now in maybe summarizing things, but not even. It does a very mediocre job.
Did you hear about that lawyer that got sanctioned for using ChatGPT?
No.
Because, he basically used ChatGPT to, basically draft his case in the
Okay.
courtroom, and it cited cases that didn't exist.
Yeah. I've heard of that happen to a lot of students.
It's going to be a lot of time until, AI catches up to, the legal knowledge that, we have nowadays as a whole, because it's a lot of information to catch up on.
Yeah.
When it does catch up, it's going to be really useful. But I used to be scared AI is going to replace us and stuff like that. But it's there's few jobs where humanity is a very, very important aspect, and I feel like law is one of them. Because other than transactional laws with contracts and things like that, there's still an aspect of negotiation,
right,
and litigation and things like that where it's you need to have a person's charisma there.
I think so. Yeah.
A robot's not just going to be talking to a courtroom.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
If it does happen, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah, we're done. But definitely be on the lookout because it will get better, and I don't think it'll take that long, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. And then I think a lot of law firms are going to incorporate it for sure to streamline repetitive tasks, because They're billing clients for everything they touch, and a law firm needs to bill as much as they can, and clients are going to want them to use AI if they can to reduce their costs. Yeah.
Pretty much. So this next question is from Evan from Los Angeles. And as someone in law, right? What's your perspective on the whole Trump situation?
Oh boy. The Trump situation. Well, he's been indicted or arrested 4 times as of now. And you would think, wow, a person who's been arrested 4 times cannot run for president. But he's running for president, and it's not hurting him in the polls. Actually, quite the opposite. Every time he gets arrested, every time they tack on more charges, his poll numbers just go up.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. He's running. He seems to be picking up a lot of steam recently, especially after the mugshot. But so there are 4 cases in 4 different jurisdictions, and you need to keep in mind that I guess the strength of each case and the politics behind it will have a big influence on whether or not Trump will be convicted. For example, in his first arrest, the case around that is against him for conspiracy to overthrow the 2020 election, and that's in Washington, D.C. So you can imagine a jury in D.C. will more likely convict Trump than a jury in a conservative place like Florida. But it's important to note that in criminal cases, all it takes is one person out of the 12 people in the jury to not be on board to derail the whole conviction. So if 11 people say convict and one person says don't convict, there's no conviction. So I think there are a lot of holes in the prosecution's case in all 4, except for maybe the federal documents case in Florida. But even that one, I think Trump has a good chance of winning. It'll be interesting to see what happens because he has 2 trials coming up in March and May of 2024. It's like 6 months before the election.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody could run for president while they're in jail. I don't think he will be in jail. It would be really hard to imagine.
If he is, though, he definitely won't be running at that point.
Yeah. No, I don't think he'll be running at that point. But it would be really, really hard for me to imagine a former president actually in jail. Maybe they'll settle outside the courtroom before trial or during trial, or maybe Trump just wins in trial. I don't know. But he seems to be picking up a lot of steam. And, yeah, I guess
crazy how much more popular he's getting because of this.
Yeah, I'm hearing that, after the mugshot in Atlanta, everyone's saying, that they've turned Trump into Tupac. But and they're like murals of him on the wall now, looking like
a crazy statement.
It's
so
people are saying on Twitter.
No, he looked so upset in that mugshot too. He looked very angry in that mugshot.
He looked angry. He looked fearless.
But he looked like an old man who came second place in bingo. and first place was sitting right next to him. It could have been his card, but
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's wild. So yeah, I'm gonna just move on from this because this was a crazy question. But yeah, wait, so a lot of people. I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but Ben's a pretty big basketball guy. He's pretty big into ball. He loves hoops.
Following ball, not playing ball.
Yeah, he's big into hoops overall. Yeah. And so honestly, I'm curious, what's a team that you think is going to shock the league this season?
The Houston Rockets.
No, don't lie.
No, I'm kidding.
Be real.
I think...
I said that because I'm a Houston Rockets fan, but...
Yeah, the only Houston Rockets fan.
He doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe
the Rockets are garbage. I think the Warriors, honestly. I think the Warriors are going to mount a comeback. I think they're hungry. I think they're going to win the title. They have the star power to do it and the experience. They have Chris Paul now, who I think is still really good.
I feel like that was a huge mistake for them, though.
What?
To sign Chris Paul? Because they gave up Jordan Poole for him.
Fuck Jordan Poole.
What do you mean? He's a young bud, bro.
I don't know. Overrated. I mean, the thing with Chris Paul, though, is that he's nearing the end of his career, right? So it's now or never.
Off the bench.
Yeah, but I think he still has it in him. He's still good. I don't know. I'm biased. I really like Chris Paul.
I used to like him too.
I think Jordan Poole is just another Kyle Kuzma,
No.
Really?
No, he's better than Kuz.
I think the Warriors are going to bounce back this year and win the title. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be... Honestly, in regards to winning the title, I think... Honestly, I feel like out of all the teams, either the Nuggets are going to run it back or Giannis is just going to go on a whole villain arc and just go ape shit. Like,
he's going to leave Milwaukee.
No, he's not.
Yeah, they're not going to win. Leaving. I don't see them winning it.
Bro, he's different from all these like star players that like up and dip teams, you know? Like he's like he literally came from like a hole in the wall in Greece, and he's like, this was the first team to like give me a chance to play in the NBA and pay me millions of dollars. I think he has too much loyalty. He's not going to leave. Mm-hmm. But like and it's also like they can build around him. Like they're not incapable of doing that. Like it's not like
tell that to Damian Lillard. Tell that to Damian Lillard.
It's not like Portland, you know. It's like the Bucks have an actually good front office, and like they get good people around it. Like that championship team, like Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, like all those guys like around Giannis were like the best people to pair him with.
So why couldn't they get the job done?
This year, I don't know. They've just imploded, but they did it in 2020. They made it.
Right.
Not 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it there, you know. They have a chip already. They just need another one. And it's like people kind of like simmer down a little bit, but it's like they'll just like rebuild, trade a few pieces here and there, all that. I feel like the Rockets are also going to give everyone a run for their money. I'm not saying winning a chip, obviously not. They need more time, but
who do they have?
They got a good young team. I mean, it's like, listen, Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün are like both not.
Who?
You don't know who Şengün is?
Who?
Nah, he was like drafted at the same time as Jalen Green, and he was like the MVP of like the Turkish league over there.
Oh, you told me about this a while ago.
He's like my favorite player in the league right now.
Who?
He's sick. He's sick. He's like a baby Jokic.
Okay.
Like a baby Jokic. Like obviously he's not dropping like 30-point triple doubles just yet, but like he has really good passing.
How big is he?
He's like 6'8", 6'10", I think. He's not like a full-on center. Okay. He's more of a power forward, but like he's really good.
Is he built like Chet Holmgren or like Jokic?
He's built like an average center, honestly.
Okay.
Like average power forward, average center. Like he's not built like ridiculously, but no, he's very good. We also have Kevin Porter Jr., who's like also like this young stud. young stud. He's not like the best player in the league, but like he's a good person to have on the team. We did really well in the draft. We got Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore, who were like two really, really good guys to have. Like Amen was like the 4th pick, and like Cam Whitmore was supposed to go top 10, and we got him in like I think like late 20s.
I think if they trade for Yao Ming, then maybe they'll make the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know. I think the Warriors have the best chance. I think if I was Giannis, if they don't make the finals this year, he's got a dip.
No, I don't think so. It's like I feel like they can do a good job with him.
Okay, what about the Lakers? What about LeBron?
Ooh. I mean, considering, unfortunately, what happened with Bronny, I feel like after this year, unless like Bronny somehow makes a miraculous recovery and is able to make the league like within 2 years, at this point, I feel like LeBron's gonna retire soon. Like. Yeah. In a year or so.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I hope Bronny makes it out okay. Obviously, I hope everything's like fine with him and he can continue playing ball. But I think like if it's like postponed, LeBron's gonna just retire like within a year. I think because it's like he can still do it, but it's also like he's nearing 40 and he's just gonna be like, what's the point?
Yeah,
now, you know.
Yeah, I think
like, I'm not gonna play another 5 years.
Yeah, you're right. What's keeping him motivated is to play with Bronny on the same team.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen, I'd probably retire.
And honestly, after LeBron retires, I feel like they're going to be in a better spot.
Why is that?
Because it's like they have all these young guys, and it's like instead of like playing through LeBron, they're going to play through everybody else.
Yeah. And
it's like it's going to be interesting. Like, I mean, like if LeBron was in his prime with that team, they'd win a championship every year. Like they're a very, very good team.
What do you think about AD?
AD gets, I feel like, it's a shame how much he gets like disrespected.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was just gonna say, that's funny you said that. 'Cause I was just gonna say, AD reminds me of those inflatable balloons at like the used car dealership. That's like swinging back and forth. Like, yes. Yeah, those. I mean, he's good when he's healthy, but for every game he plays, I feel like he sits out 5.
Pretty much before we kind of head out, and again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Like I was saying before, like the first question is always me. The last question is always me too. And that's, if you can give one piece of advice to the people watching, what would it be?
That's a good question. As cliche as this might sound, don't let the fear of failure stop you from reaching your full potential. You know, honestly, every time things don't go your way, you got to just realize that it's a step in the process, and you'll get there. Life is a grind, you know, especially today in today's society. You can't half-ass things, no matter what you're doing, whether it's law school or I don't know what. Everything's become competitive and everything is hard, and everyone is grinding. So don't let the fear of failure get in your way. And yeah, that's what I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Once again, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Miles. If you like this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to keep yourself updated on who's going to be on the show next, make sure to follow all the socials. All the links are going to be down below. If you want to check out what's going on with Ben, I'll add his stuff down below too. And yeah, once again, this is Ben Miles. My name is Ed Toronto, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Yep.